Dale, you ready? Okay. All right, good evening, everyone. This is the Westminster special meeting for March the 16th. At this point, since we are opening session, I'll ask you to go ahead and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Ms. Parker, take the roll, please.
Mayor Atchison.
Here.
Councilor DeMott.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Seitz.
Here.
Councilor Seymour. Councilor Scully.
Here.
Councilor Smith.
Here.
Councilor Bowles.
Here.
At this time, I would move a motion for the purpose of excusing Councilor Seymour as he is out of town on personal travel.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, Mr. Seymour is excused. We have a couple of items that we're going to deal with as a special council meeting. Those are the only ones that we will be dealing with. First one is a move to adopt resolution number 6, ratifying the declaration of emergency that I declared this past Wednesday. This time I'll open the floor to a motion for resolution number 6. Ms. Scully?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to adopt resolution number 6, ratifying the declaration of emergency.
Mr. Bowles?
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion from council? Mr. DeMott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to share with anybody who is listening in, obviously we're in interesting times, and I know that, this is a very heavy action, I guess is the best way to put it, and we've been assured of how this will go down, and it's really to make sure that the public stays safe. Some additional safeguards that we have as a council is our ability to change our position with emergency action and powers, and there's going to be the next item that gives us the ability to be able to meet more freely, to be able to basically be the safeguard of that. I know that we've been assured about what's going on from the city manager's office, and they're doing a really good job of keeping everything moving and keeping us in lockstep, because I know how much this affects obviously public safety and the welfare and economy of our city and our state. So this is really important, but I just wanted everybody to understand, that this group is all on the same page and that we're staying in constant contact with the city manager's office so that everybody is being taken care of in the city of Westminster.
Other comments, council? Ms. Parker, this is a roll call vote, if you would, please.
Mayor Atchison.
Yes.
Councilor DeMott.
Yes.
Councilor Seitz. Mayor Pro Tem Seitz.
Yes.
Councilor Scully.
Yes.
Councilor Smith.
Yes.
Councilor Bowles.
Yes.
And I need one more sign. Good. Motion carries on a 6-0 vote. Next item on the agenda is Councilor's Bill number 6. As we discussed upstairs, there was one minor change made to it, so when you make the motion, if you would, this would be on second version, showing as amended. Mr. DeMott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move to pass Councilor Bill number 6 as an emergency ordinance providing for special provisions for the city council meetings during a declared state of emergency and updating the Westminster Municipal Code provisions on emergency management into current alignment with Colorado revised statutes as amended to provide the council may convey an emergency meeting at the request of the mayor or any 2 council members.
Ms. Seitz.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this item by council? Seeing none, again, this is a roll call vote. Ms. Parker, if you would, please.
Councilor DeMott.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seitz.
Yes.
Councilor Scully.
Yes.
Councilor Smith.
Yes.
Councilor Bowles.
Yes.
Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the special council meeting that we had scheduled for tonight. All items have been finished. I appreciate everyone getting in and preparing. As Mr. DeMott indicated, these are some very trying times, not only here locally, but nationally as well. This is an evolving issue that we have nationwide. Things are changing by the hour, if not by every few minutes. So the best thing I can recommend for anybody listening to this recording is if you have any questions, first of all, go to the city's website. All updates and regarding the actions being taken by the city at all levels will be kept current on there. If you have a question and you do not see the answer to that on the website, please call in to City Hall at the numbers listed on the website, and we will try to get you an answer. We ask you, first of all, to be patient. Do not go into panic buying, and please work with the city and the staff to make this as convenient as possible. We are trying to make sure that our citizens, first and foremost, are safe, and our first responders are responding to the needs as fast as we can. With that, this meeting is now adjourned. For the purpose of the record, we are reconvening for an item. We have item 4. This is item 4, update on the collective bargaining with Firefighters Union Local 2889. Once that presentation is completed, we will be adjourning into an executive session at that point. So, Ms. Martin.
Mayor and City Council, thank you so much for your time and attention tonight. I have some people in our audience that I would like to introduce to you. Our intent in this public meeting is to discuss with you the process that we went through in our IBB negotiations, the timeline and possible next steps. Then we would like to provide you the terms of agreement, tentative terms of agreement with you in exec session after this meeting, and receive direction from council. So first of all, I would like to introduce, obviously, you know, Chief Hall, Fire Department. I would like to introduce Lisa Calloway. She is our leadership and our resource from a legal perspective. She comes from Engler, Calloway, Bastion, and Shraga. She's going to walk through a PowerPoint presentation very briefly with you. I would like to introduce Marina Miller, Senior Human Resources Analyst. Jeremy Hill, who is our EMS chief, and then Eric Burke, who will be also addressing council tonight. He is our deputy fire chief. So Lisa and Eric will come up and go through a brief PowerPoint. We are here to answer any questions that you have in this public session.
You have the PowerPoint up.
Great.
Welcome.
Good. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor and councilors. Thank you for your time tonight. I'm going to try to go through this pretty quickly because we are going to spend some time in executive session. But we just want to provide you with an overview of how we got here tonight and kind of where we are. So, Dee, if you wouldn't mind getting us started. Okay, thank you. So just some of you have been through this process with us before. Some of you, this is new to you. So just to give you a little bit of history, this process started in 2013 when the governor of Colorado signed Senate Bill 25, and that bill was adopted, giving firefighters in the state of Colorado the right to collectively bargain. Previously, that was not the case in Colorado by statute. In 2014, the firefighters of the city of Westminster came to you and said that they would like to collectively bargain, and generally we're talking about wages, hours, terms, and conditions of employment. There was a special election. It was agreed that there would be a special election in 2016, and at that time, the electorate voted to permit the firefighters to collectively bargain with the city on specific topics. Okay, it was more limited than, in fact, Senate Bill 25 had legally required. The council and we worked in 2017 to come up with an ordinance because we don't have a statute, so we had to define what are the terms we're going to use, what are the things, the items that are subject to collective bargaining. And so that was approved by the council in May of 2017. In the following year, in April of 2018, we bargained our first contract using, you heard Dee refer to IBB, that's interest-based bargaining. We'll talk more about that later. But we bargained our first contract, and that was approved by you. That contract expires the first couple of days of 2021. So we are still in that contract. In January of 2020, per the requirements and the timeline in the ordinance, the firefighters, the local union came and gave notice that they wanted to negotiate a new contract that would begin when that contract in 2021 expires. And so we have engaged in bargaining, and we've actually reached a tentative agreement on certain terms. We're here to talk to you specifically about those. And so we would be looking for a ratification vote or an approval vote from you sometime in early April of this year. So I'm gonna jump through these really quickly in the interest of time. There's the timeline for the current contract, and of course we bargained a successor agreement. I mentioned interest-based bargaining. We use that very same process for the current collective bargaining agreement. Dee, if you'd go to the next slide. These are the subjects for collective bargaining, and you can see this is per the Westminster Municipal Code, Chapter 34, but these are the things that the voters, the electorate, had said we are comfortable with the city negotiating with the firefighters on these wages and benefits, items related to personal safety, and then union representation in the disciplinary process. A little bit about interest-based bargaining, and Dee, if you'd go to the next slide, I'll break it out a little bit more. Some of you may be more familiar with those bullet points on the left side, which is what we call traditional negotiations. Any of you who negotiate in business, this is typically the kind of negotiations that we engage in. On the right side is really the interest-based bargaining. So we talk about interests, we don't talk about, it's not positional, we evaluate options together. You may be familiar with parties going to their separate sides. We call that caucusing. There is no caucusing in interest-based bargaining. So we come up collectively as a group with solutions to the interests that both parties have brought to the table. And then resolution is obtained by consensus. So this is the process we've now twice engaged in with the firefighters. Dee, I'm going to have you keep cycling through this.
Oh, keep going.
Yes.
Sorry.
Thank you. So next steps, and this is why we're here today, and I'm going to have Dee outline, since we have reached a tentative agreement with the firefighters in 4 days, which over a period of 2 weeks, which I think I would call that a success. Certainly, I'd like to have Dee outline a little bit the timeline moving forward.
Yes, so what we are proposing to you all tonight is an executive session giving you an overview of the tentative agreement and receive direction from you on moving forward or not in the contract. With your then authorization, we would send the contract to be reviewed and ratified by the local 2889 starting on Wednesday. And then on March 25th, we would present in packet the hopefully ratified contract or closely ratified contract by the union by March 25th to be posted by March 30th. And that would give you the opportunity in special session on April 6th to review and potentially approve the contract in special session. So I'd like to introduce Chief Eric Burke. I think you all know him. He has a few statements, and then we're here to address any questions that you have in the public forum.
Mayor, members of City Council, thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak on behalf of the fire department. We're unable to have our firefighters join us today. Local 289, our firefighters are out responding to the needs of the community. However, I feel confident that I can speak on behalf of the fire department and Local 289 when I say that we are very proud of this IBB process. This process is built on trust and collaboration, and we're proud of the work that it produces. We are proud of the first contract, and we're proud of this tentative agreement that we have here to review with you later today. I can say that we're confident in the process because I'd like to share some language that was suggested by the Local 289 leadership to be included in our tentative agreement. It reads, This second collective bargaining agreement represents the continued efforts of the City of Westminster and IAFF Local 2889 to promote our common interests. Its adoption serves as an example of what can be achieved through communication, trust, and integrity. In a group sharing these characteristics, few obstacles can't be overcome. Thank you.
So now I'd like to ask if there are any questions you would like us to address in the public forum.
Ms. Sykes?
So thank you, everyone who was involved with your work on this. I have just a procedural question, and perhaps I'm feeling a bit dim. Has this already been ratified by the membership, or it will be ratified by the membership after council votes one way or another on it?
We wanted to receive direction from you tonight because it is part of IBB that you are obviously negotiating in good faith. So as principals, we wanted to share what the terms of agreement are, receive direction from you. If you are giving us the direction to move forward, that contract would go in front of the union starting Wednesday for ratification.
Perfect. So this is the meat of my question. Based off of current events, is there going to be any difficulty with the local being able to have a meeting with a quorum in order to ratify it? Or are they able to meet remotely? Are there any issues that current events have created for that?
And speaking directly with the leadership, I have not been made aware of any difficulties in a voter ratification.
Okay. Do they need to assemble? I guess I don't know do they have to be assembled together? Can they do it remotely? Do you know if they're able to do it through an email vote?
My guess is they've got bylaws and they have to follow their bylaws. I'm going to assume that there will be some sort of an amendment of those bylaws to permit them to vote on the contract, and whether they have to do that remotely. But everything we've heard is that they're ready to move forward with
so
this,
we
and it
don't
won't be a problem.
Okay, we don't contemplate it affecting our timeline.
No.
Perfect. Thank you.
Is there any issue that the negotiating team has in what's going to be presented to us later tonight that may have an objection from the fire department that we're not aware of?
None at this time. We, as Chief Burke mentioned, we feel very proud of this contract, that it was done in absolute collaboration. That is part of the IBB process. We have their full blessing to move forward and recommend this to you tonight.
Okay, good. Any other questions or comments at this point from council? Mr. Tripp?
I'd just like to say on the public record that this is unusual. In contract negotiations, in collective bargaining, with unions that represent employees, they're most often very positional. And my experience has been watching this over a very, very long period of time. That's couched in a history of bad relationships that actually come to fruition during collective bargaining. What's happening here is a history of great relationships because of the leadership in the fire department, the city previously, and the council. We have a great working relationship with the local. We've treated them with respect and honored their service to the city, and they respect your role, counselors, and the many, many implications to a collective bargaining agreement on the full workforce. So I want to give credit where it's due. It's the folks that are out in front of you tonight and the work that they did in the last couple of weeks, but moreover, for folks like Chief Doug Hall, the work that he's done over almost a 40-year career as leadership in the fire department and the people who are there. So that needed to be said publicly, and I appreciate the work that you folks have all done.
Other comments from council? I think to Mr. Tripp's comments, now Lieutenant Ron Taylor, if I'm correct, is now also involved in this, and I know he's not here tonight, but to that entire group, working with the city over this entire time from the time Senate Bill 25 became law, I think demonstrates the relationship that the fire department's members throughout the group have with the city and the trust back and forth. And that was proven on negotiation previously. I expect that'll pan out the same way with this one. I think that group has done an excellent job of working with the city. To Don's point, I have been sitting on those tables with CBA agreements with typical unions. The fact that you only had 4 meetings and you got this thing put together, we would have had 4 meetings just to decide about a meeting. So I would tell you this IBB is very much different than the traditional collective bargaining agreements with any union. It doesn't matter where. All right, at this point, we are going to be entering into an executive session, and we will do that, and we will announce the going into an executive session from the boardroom. Mr. DeMont, you had something?
I just real quickly, and it's more of a kudos. I think that it's very telling of what kind of relationship you must have with the union, and how they care about our residents. The fact that this is obviously very important to the men and women of the 2889, and the fact that they trusted you here and they're out taking care of our citizens, I think is really an admirable thing, and I hope the chief passes that on for me.
At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the public portion of it. We will adjourn to the boardroom. At that point, we will enter into an executive session.